Things will look a little different when you return for in-person learning at Durham Public Schools. Buses and hallways will be less crowded. Lunchtime and specials will look and feel a little different. Most importantly, though, you'll be required to wear a face covering throughout the school day. Wearing face coverings is one of the most effective ways of preventing the spread of COVID-19. When wearing your face covering, make sure that both your mouth and nose are fully covered. Remember, when returning to school, mask up. It's the best way to keep both you and everyone else safe while at school during COVID-19. We are DPS.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for DPS Celebrates Black History Month series. I'm Chanel Sitberry, the Executive Director of K-12 Curriculum and Instruction. I have with me this afternoon Mrs. Kelly Stevens, who is the History and Civic Engagement Specialist. And supporting this work, but not featured here live, is Mrs. Melissa Perez, who is the Cultural and Linguistic Development Specialist. And also supporting is our DPS Celebrates team, who promotes and supports all of this work. We're so excited to see you here today and want to make sure that you have some wonderful experiences with Durham Public Schools. And we want to make sure that you celebrate not only Black History Month, but also other cultural celebrations and resources. So I'm going to have us start out with Kelly Stevens giving us a quick overview of the DPS Celebrates websites, where you will learn about all of the great resources that we have for our educators as well as our families at home. Kelly?
Thanks, Chanel. So I'd like to introduce everyone to our DPS Celebrates website. This is located at celebrate.dpsnc.net. Each month, we have a variety of celebrations that we're focusing on. We choose to focus on the different celebrations based on academic relationships or in response to our population within Durham Public Schools. We use this as an opportunity to highlight all of the cultural celebrations that many of our families are responding to. Each month, in English and in Spanish, we provide a monthly calendar, monthly flyers, and resources. We also, thanks to a special collaboration from all of our DPS media coordinators, have e-learning libraries available for pre-K through 12. And those libraries utilize all of our resources along with Durham County Library resources that align with the celebrations we're focusing on for the month. We also have Zoom backgrounds in response to our highlighted celebrations, as you see Ms. Siberi and myself using today. We have fun Bitmoji classrooms, and coming up, because we're kind of putting an end to February here. So coming up, we're moving into March, we're gonna be celebrating Women's History Month. Our DPS school board recently adopted the Crown Act Week, so we're gonna be celebrating and uplifting that as well. We also have National Global Languages Awareness, and of course, all of our character traits every single month. So we invite you to not visit DPS Celebrates website once, but visit it multiple times, and especially every single month, so that you can see how things change, what we're highlighting, and what we're uplifting. And next month, because next month is Pi Month, it's always something all the math teachers always get really excited about. And I know Chanel's always got excited about it, being her math background. You know, normally we always had Pi on Pi Day. It's a little hard to do in a virtual environment, but our math specialists put together some really great Bitmoji bulletin boards so that our students can still learn about Pi Day and still have some fun learning about it. So make sure you visit it, whether you're at home or whether you're back in face-to-face schools. Make sure you visit. And Chanel, I'm gonna toss it back to you so you can talk about Black History Month and our DPS Beyond 28 initiative.
Thank you, Kelly. So why are we talking about Black History Month? Well, Black History Month, or National African American History Month, is an annual celebration of achievements by Black Americans and a time for recognizing the central role of African Americans in U.S. history. And Black history is U.S. history. The event grew out of Negro History Week, the brainchild of noted historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent African Americans. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month, and other countries around the world, including Canada and the UK, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. Now, in Durham, we believe Black History Month goes well beyond the 28 days designated for in February. So you will see and hear the hashtag DPS Beyond28. And we use that hashtag because we believe that learning about African American history should extend beyond the 28 days of February that has been designated. We don't want Black history to be contained in 28 days. So please join our DPS Beyond 28 movement. We want to see that hashtag on social media. We want to see you engaging. And we want to make sure that we continue to lift up the voices of historically marginalized population, including Black and Brown voices, because sometimes in our communities, we don't get to learn about this if it's not put in the forefront. We don't get to hear about our history and learn about local people who have contributed to the community. So we want to make sure that we do our due diligence and our responsibility here in Durham to lift up not only local people to celebrate for Black History Month, but national folks as well. So please make sure you join us. Know that these resources and these initiatives and activities will expand beyond the 28 days of February and go to March into April as well. Now for today, we have a great and special guest. He is an illustrator of the previous guest of Jasmine Stewart's a wonderful book, and we're going to turn it over to Kelly to introduce our special guest for us today.
Featured guest this week is an alumni of the following Durham Public Schools. He went to Glen Elementary, then moved on to Shepherd Middle School and graduated from Hillside High School. So please welcome DeMarcus Boone. DeMarcus, welcome.
Thanks, Kelly.
DeMarcus is a Durham artist and muralist. And remember last week, we featured Jasmine Stewart, and she's a new children's book author. And DeMarcus was the illustrator for that book. DeMarcus, I have ordered that book from Amazon. I am waiting for it right now to arrive at my front door. And when all this COVID stuff is over, I definitely want an autograph from you and Jasmine because I'm so excited about this book. So let's talk a little bit about this book. Jasmine mentioned that you and her were friends in high school. And when she had the idea for this book, she looked for someone to add that, eye candy, that pizzazz to it. And she thought you would be a great fit. And she mentioned to you that she wanted a character that she could envision herself. So would you like to talk a little bit about how you came up with the character in the book?
Yeah, sure. I think this was maybe summer of, it's been a few years now, maybe 2017. And yeah, Jasmine and I went to high school together. And at the time, I didn't know how serious she was about creating a book, but she told me just the basic premise of the story. And for the character design, I tried to put myself in my shoes when I was a kid and what shows I would lean to growing up, what comic books really would, catch my attention as I'm walking into the library, or we used to have the Scholastic Book Fair. And I tried to put myself in that position. What would pop for me to grab a book instantly? And there were a few cartoons that I did watch as a child and a teenager where the design was detailed, the lighting was just perfect for me to, show enough emotion and detail. And I kind of flipped through a few different designs, but I knew that the hairstyle, for me, I really enjoyed just drawing that hairstyle, and I like the balance between it. So I tried to link to that and show Jasmine, what do you think? And yeah, as you said, she loved it. I particularly remembered focusing on how I wanted to draw the eyes and the lips, because for most cartoons and graphic novels, you want to have some sort of consistency between all the characters. You're almost creating your own template. And I felt like what I did for Rachel was easy to replicate and just instantly eye-grabbing without it being too much of an overload.
I would agree. When I looked at the cover, this is definitely a character that speaks to me. She invites me in. I want to learn more about her. She's so cute, so adorable, and I can't wait to hear about this birthday surprise that she has going on here, I haven't had a chance to get the book. Like I said, I've ordered it because it just became available February 9th, but I can't wait to get it and see all the beautiful artwork, because the artwork on the cover is, one of the first impressions. We say don't judge a book by the cover, but let me just say this cover really, I already have big judgment. Like, I'm expecting great things. I can't wait to get it. Was your artistic talent something you've always had, or was it something you developed and grew when you were in school?
Well, I guess it's a little bit of both. So I started fairly young, just drawing at home with my dad. I'd say maybe as early as kindergarten or first grade. And we would just have sessions throughout the day where I would draw what I would see. So we had dogs, I would draw simple versions of them, tables, and of course, a lot of those images probably don't look as good as they did to me back then, but I would start to realize I kind of like just doing this creation process and coloring things in. And as I'm watching TV, I started to think of, I like the way this character is drawn, I like this design. Let me see if I can replicate it. And we start to do that in class. And a lot of my friends would notice, and they would say, "Hey, that's pretty good. Can you draw me?" And mind you, this is late 90s, early 2000s. So, I couldn't look at my phone and draw somebody because I didn't have a phone, didn't even know about that concept. So my earliest, development of, trying to hone on this craft was having a friend sit in front of me and I draw them live for however long, 30 minutes, an hour. And it felt like, the way classical artists would do back in the day. And the kind of transition from a cartoonish style to a realistic style. But I started to find out as I got older that maybe this artistic ability was in the family. My dad, my brother, my sister, they're all artistically gifted, whether it's painting, drawing sketches, or calligraphy. My dad showed me some images that he worked on when he was a teenager. I found out that actually my great-grandmother was an artist, and she may be the originator for all of this. So it's just the talent that's passed down, whether it's art through drawing or art through dance or music. Everybody in the family's got a little bit of something.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. And I know you don't just keep your artwork to yourself or to friends or family, because another piece that you have is a mural in downtown Durham. So in this image, this is a mural beside the Durham Arts Council, the Civil Rights mural, located just about outside of 120 Morris Street. Tell us a little bit about this mural, because I don't even know what to say with this mural. Like, when I first saw it, I was just so shocked and in awe at the beauty and the diversity and the massive size of this mural. So tell us a little bit about this mural and what inspired you with this piece.
This was a passion project by definition, and I want to note that I was not the only person to work on this. There's no way I could have done all this by myself. And I wanted to mention Brenda Holmes. She actually was the orchestrator of this project, but I believe around my senior year of high school, I actually worked at a nonprofit organization in downtown Durham known as NCI Med. And during that time, I think it was like around summertime, I started to learn more about the history of Durham. And I realized, wow, we have, a pretty rich amount of history and events that occurred that I didn't even know. And I've lived in Durham my entire life. And I knew that if I didn't know, many of my friends didn't know either. So at this time, I wanted to paint a mural or some art piece to let everybody know that Durham is not to be forgotten about, and we've come a long way to get where we are now. And I believe a few months later, I found out that there was a lady who had the exact same idea, and my art teacher, Mr. Jerome, he actually connected the both of us because he knew that I had the idea, but did not have the funds, did not have the means of gathering people at my age. So Brenda and I would sit down and talk, and there was a group of, I'd say, roughly 30 members of the community, ranging from ages 12 to 60 and up. Everybody would sit down, share their thoughts, share their piece of history, their love, and struggles that they've gone through. And we worked for months trying to get a design together. We would have history lessons and sessions where we would actually speak to a few members and activists who were currently active at the time. The planning process, I believe it occurred, I'd say around 2013 to 2014, and around 2014 is when we were actually able to put that image on the wall. The entire project may have taken about 4 years or so, give or take, with multiple people coming in and out, because everybody's still doing their day job, their regular schedule, going to school. I would by this point I was already in college, so each weekend I'm coming back, each summer I'm coming back to add more paint on this wall. We really wanted to try to highlight a lot of the unsung heroes of Durham, people who've created structures, architecture that still exists today, people who've created and started movements, sit-ins, even Anna Atwater and C.P. Ellis. They have a very interesting tale that we may be able to talk about a bit later. But we really had a fun time. Used, I don't know how many gallons of paint trying to get this on the wall, and this wall is huge, so we had to use the scaffolding to really cover everything. And I think in the process, I was actually able to conquer my fear of heights, because if anybody had asked me, I would have not been on the top of that wall. But because of the story we were trying to tell, I knew that I could get over that fear, and it definitely worked.
That's awesome. And I'm going to forward the slide forward just a little bit. I grabbed just a much larger picture here. I feel like I could spend hours just staring at this mural and looking at all the diverse images. I mean, you mentioned there's so many unsung heroes in this image, and I can just see all these little stories I go all over the place. And I feel like every time I look at it, I see something new. This is absolutely amazing. And I can see why it took so long to plan it, and how intentional you were about working as a collaborative team to choose the different characters. Durham is a very diverse city, and I love seeing the history of our diverse city represented here. This is just so beautiful. And I didn't realize the massive scale of this mural until when I was searching for the pictures and saw this mural next to a car. And I was like, wow, like this is huge. So I definitely appreciate that you said that you conquered your fear of heights, because it was several stories high, it looked like. We would encourage people in our community, go visit this mural, take a look at it. It's beautiful online, but I don't know, something about art is always better to appreciate in person. I mean, that's just me, seeing it in person is always better. And I apologize for my dogs in the background.
No, it's
they always make an appearance, right? But if you go visit this mural, we encourage you, take a selfie just like DeMarcus did here, and share it with all the Durham community by using the hashtags DPS Celebrates, DPS Beyond28, and Durham Mural Crew. And that way we can all kind of celebrate and enjoy your visit there as well.
I do want to add, if you do want to go out and visit the mural, I do encourage you, because there are a few hidden pieces to this painting that you will see if you go see it in person. Particularly, I'd say look for, there's a side wall that has a extra little bit of work there for people to appreciate.
Ooh, so a little bit of mystery to uncover. I love it. I love it. Awesome. So are there any other pieces that you'd like to share with us about, what else is out there with DeMarcus Boone's, signature on it?
Yeah, I started to reflect in recent years that I guess I've worked on a handful of pieces that are hopefully still intact. I think I've worked on a piece at each school that I was a part of, even starting back at Glenn. I think we did a painting in the cafeteria, and at Shepherd, there's another painting, I think in the cafeteria as well. But more recently at Hillside High School, myself and a few other artists, actually, I think it was me and my best friend Yuri Jeter. He's a up and coming artist. Well, he's been around for some years, but he's starting to make a lot of more progress in recent years. And we worked on a pretty big mural inside of Hillside with a few artists from, I think, the Dominican Republic. And we actually had fun because there was a bit of a language barrier. So when we were working on the art, we were able to communicate almost effortlessly without having to say too much, and we always had a good fun time. There was another piece at Hillside that included the Durham skyline and some of the chapels from a few of the different universities around here. And there is another one in Greensboro that I did, I think, on the campus, which was a much smaller piece that I'm not sure if it's visible now, but it was just to show some school spirit.
That's awesome. I love that you give back to your community and to the schools that you were once, sitting as a student in. It helps beautify our school. It helps give our students something to be inspired and motivated about. And I think Melissa Perez, who is our cultural and linguistic development specialist, might have some very positive words to say about how you mentioned that you had some people from another country. There was that language barrier there, but you found a way to use your joint passion to communicate with each other. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's hard to compare it to any other experience. And some of us continued on other smaller projects throughout the years. So it was definitely something I recommend.
Now, what's next for you? Jasmine gave us a little hint last week that she's thinking that maybe Rachel's going to move into a sequel or a series of books. I don't know if you knew about that or not, but she kind of mentioned it, and I didn't know if you knew that or if you have anything else that's coming up next in your life.
It's possible. I don't want to give away too much, but Jasmine and I may have something else in store for the future. Hopefully everybody will get a chance to check it out sooner rather than later. At the moment, I do plan on actually releasing a website so that people can see some of my artwork and even purchase some work that I'll plan to design in the coming months. But at the moment, I'm just doing a few small pieces here and there for Black History, for individuals that want to just give gifts to their loved ones. And I may be working on a book that focuses on superheroes and will somewhat tie into staying safe with the events of the recent year. So it'll be similar to, if you could say, like Captain Planet from the 80s and 90s, to just kind of encourage kids to do the right thing. So stay tuned.
That is exciting. I'm so excited to hear that. Kids are always looking for new things to enjoy. So I can't wait to see that. Please make sure you let us know, if that comes out. Moving on, let me go ahead, another slide. You did mention in the mural about Ann Atwater and CP Ellis. Melissa, would you like to talk about an event we have coming up?
I would, but before I do, in listening to all these amazing things by DeMarcus, I actually have two questions for DeMarcus. My first question, DeMarcus, is what advice would you give young scholars who have discovered that they have an artistic talent, that want to do something with it, or like maybe are inspired by what you have done so far? Like, how do they get into that? Like, what do they do? What advice would you give them?
I would say create as much work as you possibly can and really try to, especially nowadays, a lot of people use social media to advertise themselves, and that's really the best way to go about it these days, because word of mouth is better than anything you can recommend. Your friend, your family member knows someone who does good work, they will find out about it. So definitely share your work with your friends. If you're nervous or worried that some of your work may be good or bad, or that some people will judge you for it, I say create it anyway, because there's always going to be somebody who appreciates what you do, and the doors of opportunity it expands more than you can ever know.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you. And my last question, I must admit, is a little bit for myself, but I know there are other people out there like me. What advice do you give people like myself who want so desperately to have artistic talent, but struggle with drawing a stick figure? You know, is there anything that can help us?
Yeah, I have worked with many friends who were in the same boat, and almost the advice is pretty much the same that I would give to the people who are, considering themselves to be artists. You start with something that you really like, and once you start to sketch that out, then you can either reach out to another artist to ask for tips. I'm sure at this point there are a lot of people that provide videos online for different steps, but the ongoing mindset to keep is to not compare yourself to another artist, but compare yourself to your past work. So once you see that the progress that you've made over the years, you will gain more confidence. And if it helps, try to focus on even telling a story, because a lot of times the audience can get more out of a piece that's telling something rather than something that just looks good for the sake of looking good.
Wow, that is super profound for me. Thank you for saying that. So that definitely inspires me and makes me feel like I can go out and create something, and it doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's out there. That's wonderful. Thank you. That's very encouraging. So for everyone out there like me that struggles with artistic talent, now we know what we have to do. So thank you for that. So now we'll move forward and speak to our next event in Black History Month, which is the DPS Beyond 28, as we will be providing the opportunity in Durham Public Schools to view the film Best of Enemies. And that opportunity will be available Friday, February the 26th through Sunday, February the 28th. Each school has the opportunity, middle and high school. So we're looking at secondary to provide that opportunity for their school. Each school can choose to opt in, and they will receive the information to log on to be able to view the film during those 3 days that weekend. And the reason for us doing this is because we know that Black History Month goes beyond 28 days. Black history should be celebrated 365 days a year, because Black history is our history. It's everyone's history. It's American history. It's U.S. history. And we all have to take part and share in what is the true history of the United States. And so that's why we're providing the opportunity for the viewing of this film this year. And thanks to Chanel Sidbury, Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction, for providing this opportunity for schools. Next slide, please. Next week, we have some super exciting news as well. Our guests for our live session for next Wednesday at 1 p.m. are friends of mine, local here in Durham, entrepreneurs, Leonardo Williams and Chef Zweli Williams. And they are going to share their story about how they became entrepreneurs and how they became the owners and began Zweli's restaurant in Durham. It's literally the only restaurant in the U.S. that has authentic Zimbabwean food. And a little secret about Leonardo is that he was a DPS teacher and taught at Shepherd Middle School. And so it's really exciting to have him and Chef Zweli join us next week. We're very excited to have them. And I actually learned today that DeMarcus knew Leonardo at Shepherd when he was a teacher. So that's pretty exciting too.
Yeah, you can ask anybody that I grew up with who some of their favorite teachers are, and Mr. Williams he's at the top of that list. We saw him in the middle school, the high school, and he was really just down to earth, fun, talented, wise beyond anything you can imagine. I'm so glad to see that he's the next guest with him and his wife. So I hope you all enjoy.
Thank you. So we would like to, again, thank you so much, DeMarcus, for being with us today and for sharing your story and being a part of this wonderful project with Durham Public Schools. And as well as thank you, Kelly, for hosting today and for bringing this forward. And we would love to see everyone live next week on the DPS YouTube channel at 1 p.m. But do remember, we are recording our sessions. So even if you are unavailable to be live with us from 1 to 1:30 on Wednesdays, you can always catch the recording later on. And remember that we have a live session coming up beyond the 28 days of February, because we are DPS Beyond 28 and we're going all the way through March, and we possibly may end up in April before it's over. So please join us live if you can. If not, be sure to check our recording. Thank you everyone for being here today.
So last week, when Jasmine finished reading her book live for us, which was something, if you missed this event, you truly missed out. Chanel was so impressed with Jasmine and this book, she wanted to purchase 10 Rachel's birthday surprises, and we're going to raffle them off for people in our community. These books will be autographed by both Jasmine and DeMarcus. If you want to be the lucky person to get one of these books, you can enter simply by tagging us on social media. Tag all of us, because that increases your chances to win. All of our hashtags are below, and we'll give them to you again in just a moment. Another opportunity I would like to lift up for you is a digital viewing event that we have for the Best of Enemies. You can get the family viewing guidance on celebrate.dpsnc.net, but this viewing event is for students in grades 6 through 12 because this movie is rated PG-13. Now for students in middle school in grades, 6 through 12 or 6 through 8, they're required to get parental or family permission. Once families fill out that permission form, they'll get the link for the digital viewing event. For high school students and middle school students, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of your teachers. Another thing that we have provided for you on our DPS Celebrates website, if you click on Black History Month series and scroll down, you get an opportunity to see all of our previous featured speakers. You get to see speakers that are coming up, but also here is our Best of Enemies viewing event. And what we have provided for you is family viewing guidance. We recognize that many families are still working remotely and will continue to be working remotely. And you may have some younger siblings in your home that might be viewing this event at the same time as an older child. We wanted to provide you with some guidance in each grade band, so elementary, middle school, and high school, that prompt discussion questions, for before viewing, during viewing, or after. We also provided you with some timestamps for different events within the movie that might trigger some strong viewer reactions. We provide you with those timestamps and kind of what happens. Remember, this is history. We can't change history, but what we can do is we can learn about it. We can build on the great things that our ancestors have done, and we can learn about things that happened so that we can do better in the future. And this video capitalizes on history, capitalizes on some great prominent figures in our community. If you scroll down, you'll also notice that we provided you with online readings available for elementary and for secondary students. For our secondary students, we have related readings available that sync with our Study Sync libraries. Now, Study Sync is the online curriculum that our ELA and our literacy teachers use in middle school and high school. Students know how to log into this, but just in case they forgot, we provide you with a link so that they can access that as well. So all of this is here for you. The viewing event is going to be available from 12 a.m. Friday through 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. So they've got 72 hours that they can watch this on their own time. Families and students don't have to miss any of their live class sessions. No instructional time will be lost. We provided this 72-hour window to provide the flexibility for students to learn about the history of the city in which they live and they go to school. And Chanel, I'm going to toss it back to you so that we can finish up for today.
Thank you, Kelly. Again, we appreciate you so much for taking this small bit of your week out to come together with us to learn about Durham, to learn about Black history, and to celebrate the great things that are going on in our community. I have on a t-shirt this afternoon and it says, I am Black history and I am Black history. I'm a first-generation college student in my family, and I want to make sure that I represent for all others and know that you can aspire to be, you can grow, you can learn, you can give back to your community. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity as educators and also as family members and students to learn about the great resources and the wealth of contributions that we have right here in Durham County. So we thank you for joining us. Please make sure you follow us on social media. You see all of our social media handles there, and we will continue to use the hashtag DPS Beyond28, because in Durham Public Schools, we believe that Black history is beyond the 28 days in February. So we thank you for joining us. Look out for us next week, and we will continue to support and hear from you. We appreciate you so much. Have a great rest of the day, and thank you for joining us.